And ultimately, that's what they did. And that's when fire engineer for the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety, or IBHS, Dr. Ann Cope came into the picture. All the way in South Carolina, Dr. Ann Cope and other engineers at IBHS had already spent years creating their wildfire prepared program, studying how flames and embers ignite homes during a wildfire, and after trial and error, have created mitigation actions that significantly reduce the chance a home will be ignited.
That is our mission, to find out the cost-effective, doable things that work to keep communities strong.
We started out as a fire victim, and we made a jump. We made a transition to a survivor.
50 years ago this winter, a winter storm dropped 1 to 2 feet of snow across the southeast, a region that normally sees an inch or two a year at the most. The snow even stretched to the Gulf Coast and Texas. Macon meteorologist Maya Mirando looks back on the storm's impact across the region.
Going to bed February 9th, 1973 was just like any other.
It was just supposed to be a cold, cloudy morning, but something in the atmosphere happened and we had the biggest snowstorm.
That's WGXA's chief photographer Perry Smith remembering waking up the next morning, though, to find snow falling as far as the eye could see. The historic Great Southeast Snowstorm of 1973 dropped close to 1.5 feet of snow in Macon. The unprecedented snow shut down travel and society for several days as several decades worth of snow fell in just days, according to the National Weather Service. I-75 was shut down for almost 200 miles with thousands of stranded cars. Every road in Macon was closed at the height of the storm, with a curfew and even a state of emergency was issued, according to the National Weather Service. Newspapers from the time really tell the story of how incredible the snowfall was. This one from the Associated Press writing, "The storm blanketed much of Middle Georgia with snow causing mammoth traffic in Columbus and Macon." And this one from the Gadsden Times titled, "What Happened to the Sunny South?" with a picture there in Macon showing the grass and trees covered in the frozen snow. And this is what neighborhoods looked like throughout Middle Georgia, covered in snow, truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
And staying in the southeast, what a sight near North Myrtle Beach yesterday morning. This hovercraft right here approached the shore and then it beached, so crews can make a supply run. Jenna Harazo explains local residents were surprised, as you can imagine, to see a military boat make an unexpected landing.
A U.S. Navy vessel bids farewell to dozens of onlookers after spending hours on the shore of North Myrtle Beach. This video shows the landing craft air cushion making headway towards the beach Thursday morning. The crew aboard the ship are part of the search to recover Chinese balloon debris and came ashore to restock supplies. Senior FBI officials held a briefing Thursday morning and say they've been able to recover some balloon debris, but much of the evidence is still at the bottom of the Atlantic. One military veteran who witnessed the vessel come ashore says,
It's pretty cool. I'm a little surprised that they're doing it like this. You know, there's so many other techniques. You know, we used to just send it across from ship to ship. And from what I understand, there's an amphibious ship out there, so they must have a lot of supplies.
Officials say it's too early to say what China's intentions were with the balloon, but residents who watched things unfold say this was a once-in-a-lifetime event to witness.
They blew it up and then turned it to take off, and they'd warned us. They backed us all up into the parking lot. They warned us we're going to get sandblasted and water blasted, and we absolutely did.
And here's a fun fact. It's National Umbrella Day. Umbrellas have been keeping people dry since early civilization. The ancient Greeks and Romans used them to take cover from rain and sun. They've taken center stage in some movie musicals like Singing in the Rain and Mary Poppins. And then there is Rihanna's song Umbrella. She might sing it during this weekend's Super Bowl halftime show. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, why beloved goats won't be making a summer trip to South Carolina and why the weather is to blame.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have a mild day to end out the work week today. Temps in the 40s and 50s area-wide. I think we'll be warmest through parts of southern New England, New York, and New Jersey. Things will be changing Saturday, though. The back edge of any leftover rain and snow in northern New England, that moved out last night. 2 o'clock in the afternoon today, notice bright skies from most of the area. Parts of New York holds on to some more clouds there. The wind picks up later today. That's going to draw in colder temperatures heading into our Saturday.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Temperatures 40s and 50s at about 9 a.m. Another fairly mild day during the day on Friday. Maybe not quite as warm as it has been, but still some temperatures in the 50s and the 60s, 40s, and the higher elevations north and west up into the Appalachians. This courtesy of our latest weather maker, a cold front sliding down to the south and east, but notice it lighting up with some showers as cooler air settles in. Could be a wet and messy weekend ahead. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed looking at your southeast forecast high for the day. We're looking at Nashville, 56 degrees, 57 Atlanta, 60 in Mobile. Warmer along the coastal region along I-95 as we see cold front pushing through. That's going to adjust those temperatures later today. A few storms along this front as we started off this morning. Looks like that front will help fire up storms across southern Georgia. This is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. As we get later in the day, a few of those storms will start moving their way into Florida, but we're definitely seeing cooler temperatures behind this front with rainy conditions tonight.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
This drone video from an early February day outside of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Temperatures were above average, nearly 60 degrees. Meteorologist Steve Knight says these temps will hang on through next week. Meanwhile, in Iowa, it's back to a winter wonderland. Temperatures had reached the 40s in the past several days. And 2 Cedar Rapids meteorologists had a little fun making snowmen.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Twitter.
Scientists in Southern California have been dropping dye into small rivers at Torrey Pines State Beach. The goal here is to track the movement of plumes into the ocean. The result has been this bright pink ocean waves. Emily Gracie spoke to the lead researcher to find out how this experiment is playing out.
We're trying to understand how things coming out of estuaries and rivers spread in the coastal ocean. So we release a bright pink dye into the water to basically act as a water tracer. And the idea is that that can show us where the plume is going, which can help us understand implications for other things that get carried in plumes. These rivers and plumes bring with them things from the land, some of them negative things like pollutants, but also some positive things like nutrients.
How long did the pink last and how far did it reach?
So the pink to our naked eye only lasts for 4 to 6 hours. In these particular releases, it traveled a few kilometers up and down the coast and about 1 kilometer offshore. We have instruments that can keep measuring the dye for about 24 hours.
And are you watching it from above? How are you tracking it?
Yeah, so we had all sorts of fun instruments to track the dye. So moorings, which are instruments that are affixed to the sea floor and some floating. We also had a jet ski. So someone's out there on a jet ski running back and forth measuring the dye. The most novel and exciting aspects of our measuring were with drones.
You've done 3 releases over the past couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. I know this is preliminary, but what have you learned so far?
We so far have actually seen more trapping than we expected, which has implications for, transport of pollutants and sediment. We also are seeing a very strong dominance of the bathymetry, the underwater topography of the estuary mouth. And so the shape of the mouth seems to be mattering a lot in the ultimate fate of these plumes. And so those are our preliminary results. We have tons and tons of data to dig into to digest and get more information.
And you can head over to our YouTube for a longer version of this interview where Dr. Giddings talks about why they chose pink dye, and she assured us it is all perfectly safe. Just search the National Weather Desk and hit the subscribe button while you are there so you don't miss any of our new content. And now to some beaches on the other side of the country. Goat Island is a popular attraction near Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. But this summer, the goats will not be returning. And it's all because of changing weather patterns. As Amanda Kenseth explains, it was a tough decision for the owner.
The beloved goats have spent their summer vacations on Goat Island for the past few decades, a tradition that brought entertainment and delight.
Especially when you go out on the boat and you see them at the tip and when they're climbing up the trees. It's awesome.
The goats were evacuated last fall before Hurricane Ian left her mark, tearing down the shelter and eroding the island. Al Hitchcock, perhaps also known as the Goat Keeper, snapped this recent photo during high tide. With the flood tide forecast this year, he anticipates having to evacuate the goats 4 or 5 times. And while people love to watch the spectacle, he explains it can be traumatic for the goats.
We just hate the fact that we're not going to be able to put them back, but it's for their safety. And we just don't want to have to chase them and scare them and freak them out.
For the goat lovers out there is hope on the horizon. Al is checking into a few environmentally friendly ways to rebuild the island.
We just can't put them back under those conditions, but if we can come up with a solution to get the island built back up, we'd love to put them back.
Well, it's not just the goats that are feeling the impact of winter. Black bears typically go into hibernation during the winter in northern Michigan, but this year it's a little different because of the warmer weather. Meteorologist Heather Brickish looks at what affects bears during this time.
Bears typically enter their dens in December and come out by late March to April.
The whole point of going into their den is to survive the winter, where there's going to be cold temperatures and lack of food.
They forage for food around November, so they are well prepared for winter. Even though they were supposed to be starting to go into their dens, there were bear sightings later than normal in Benzie County. And even more recently, a black bear was spotted in Williamsburg this week.
With warmer weather, because bears aren't true hibernators, you can wake them up. It's like just a really strong nap.
They're sleeping, even if it's no snow on the ground and not that cold yet.
So what can wake up bears from their den? Roll says the snow melt can disturb them, with temperatures in northern Michigan reaching the upper 30s and 40s this week, but they will go back to bed.
As a general rule, even in these warm snaps, they usually don't wake up.
According to the DNR, the bear population is increasing, but not by a lot.
And they are expanding southwards in the lower peninsula. We're not seeing that in the upper peninsula. They're basically there might be a slight increase in population, but not anything real noticeable.
The wildlife specialist at the DNR says the black bears in Michigan are predominantly vegetarian and usually want nothing to do with humans.
And if you do see a bear on your property, experts say that you make a lot of noise so that you can scare them off, and make sure there aren't any food sources available for them. We're talking like garbage or birdseed or anything like that to eat. And parts of the country have seen some severe weather this week, including thunderstorms and tornadoes. With that in mind, we wanted to remind you about severe weather safety. To do that, we head to meteorologist Jennifer Collins in West Palm Beach, Florida.
If a storm is producing strong damaging winds or even a tornado, it's a severe thunderstorm. You should make sure your home or business is prepared before severe weather impacts your area. If a thunderstorm warning or tornado warning is issued, you want to seek shelter inside immediately in the most interior room of your home, away from doors and windows, and wait for the storm to pass or the warning expires, and have a way to get those weather alerts on air or over your phone. Did you know, according to the National Weather Service, on average, over 1,000 tornadoes are reported in the United States each year. In South Florida, tornadoes can occur during strong winter and spring cold fronts, waterspouts that move onshore, and tornadoes even embedded in outer bands of tropical storms and hurricanes, and even in those daily, ordinary afternoon thunderstorms if conditions are just right. Know the signs of a tornado. They include strong, consistent rotation, whirling dust or debris on the ground under a cloud base, and of of course, the sound of a strong tornado, a loud, continuous roar or rumble that doesn't fade quickly like thunder.
And as we go to break, we're going to fly over Shaver Lake in California.
Good Friday morning. I'm meteorologist Phil Kelly. After that big system yesterday went through the Great Lakes, we are going to start to see temperatures rebound. Most of us staying nice and dry. We'll see sunshine and 30 in Milwaukee, up to 41 in St. Louis. Clouds still holding a little thick into the Ohio Valley, but I think we stay dry. We get into the weekend. Sunshine returns. Look at these temperatures for February. Not bad at all. 48 in Kansas City, mid-50s for Lincoln, mid-50s down in Cincinnati.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Starting out a little chilly this morning, all the way from El Paso to Amarillo in the 20s, 30s out for Oklahoma City's 40s and 50s on down toward South Texas. All day today, cold front will be pushing away, but dry, cool, windy conditions will settle in back up over Texas and over most of the region. The temperatures are going to stay cool, even though we're going to have plenty of sunshine. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there and a good Friday to you, everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. West Coast continuing to warm up as we head our way deeper into the month of February. We've got the Super Bowl right around the corner. Everybody heading down into southern Arizona, enjoying some sunshine and low 70s today near Glendale and Phoenix, and 70s as well around LA and San Diego. But the next weather maker, good-sized cold front rolling into Seattle and Portland for some rain in the Pacific Northwest today. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Did you know that full moons have names? This month's full moon was called the snow moon. Let's head over to meteorologist Cheryl Lemke in Springfield, Illinois for some history on full moons and their names.
Each month's full moon goes by various names, and these names are oftentimes derived from Native American, colonial American, and European sources. The full moon for this February took place on February 5th, and it's frequently referred to as the snow moon. According to history, Captain Jonathan Carver in February in the 1760s visited the Dakota Indians, and the term snow moon was used by the Indians, explaining that more snow falls during February than any other month. Interestingly, according to data from the National Weather Service, on average, February is indeed the United States' snowiest month. Other names given to February's full moon are the Black Bear Moon, referring to when bear cubs are born, and the Hungry Moon, reflecting the fact that food was hard to come by at this time of year.
Well, did you know that weather can help solve crimes? Monday, we'll talk with a forensic meteorologist about how weather can be crucial and factor in criminal cases. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Angela Brown. Have a great weekend.